2 weeks ago, the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour stars took on Winchester Speedway. The track won that battle. Hal Goodson was able to avoid the carnage and pick up his first career North Tour win. Now it's on to Salem Speedway. The Hooters Pro Cup North Tour stars challenging another track that might be too tough to tame. Brian Ross is hoping to defend his crown with a repeat performance. But who will survive Salem? We'll find out next.
Green. Go, buddy, go. You're .25 behind the leader. Caution one. Stay low. We're a little less off, too. All right, bring her in. Next time by, we'll go 4 and gas. Well, I think you got into me. Stand on it, buddy. Got 5 to go. You're the man. Great job.
And welcome to a Sunsplash Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana. Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour Series here on Speed. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin, joined by Scott Sutherland. Stephen Cox will be on pit road for us today. Scott, a beautiful day to go racing, and this is a tough old racetrack.
Well, and it's very similar to Winchester with the fact that it's a little bit rougher through the corners. And when I say a little bit, I mean it'll knock your teeth out if you're not careful. I know when I was here, we used to use bubble gum, keep it in your mouth just to keep them from clattering. It's so rough, but it's going to be a fun race. They've got a week to catch their breath, and away we go.
The game here at Salem is to run up high on the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. Most drivers like to go a little bit lower in turns 1 and 2, but we'll see how things sift out when we put the green out in just a couple of moments. Full house on hand. About time to get the command to start tonight's show.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
The motors and the 24 drivers on hand tonight, strapped in and ready to get going. This is just a racetrack that's got so much history, Scott Sutherland, much like Winchester.
Well, the thing is, they run all types of racing here, so you know you can go anything from a street stock car to these big, heavy race cars, and they always bring a good show with them.
.55 the distance here, a little more than half a mile and a lot of banking.
And they're going to run right up to the top in 3 and 4, like you said. 1 and 2, they run about in the middle of the racetrack. Pit road is real easy to get in, on and off, so it's all about the racetrack.
Let's take a look now. Jay Fogelman driving the Lucas Oil Ford in qualifying. Jay takes us for a ride around Salem.
And you can see just how hard he's going to work this steering wheel. When we go into turn 3, I want you to watch just how bad his head's going to bobble in that race car.
Gives you a sense of how rough the surface is and how high on the racetrack you want to be up in 3 and 4.
And I'm telling you, it doesn't show this while we're watching it on TV, but you got to hold your breath for 18 seconds around this racetrack.
It's a quick place. Beautiful day to go racing. Beautiful evening here. Summer's arrived in the Midwest. 83 degrees our temperature. And our Advanced Auto Parts pole sitter for the second time this season, Danny Sammons from New Jersey. He was with Steven earlier.
In 6 races this year, this young man has been victimized by 5 accidents and 1 engine failure. Does that mess with your head after a while, Danny?
Well, it starts to, the team, just keeps digging, and I just keep my head up, and we have real fast cars every week, and this is our second pole of the year, and, that shows how fast we are, and hopefully we can stay out front and stay out of trouble and end up in victory lane for once.
You asked USAR officials for a choice on inside or outside since you won the pole. What did you choose and why?
We chose to start on the outside, 1 and 2 is kind of a toss-up, and 3 and 4 you definitely want to be on the top. So we'll run it down in there, and hopefully we can beat them down the backstretch, and once we get to 3 and 4, we think we'll be pretty good to go.
250 laps of racing. Danny Sammons wants to win the race into turn 1. Let's check your Jackaroo Sauce's starting grid tonight for the Naturally Fresh Foods 250. We've had Danny Sammons, the pole sitter. He will elect to start outside row 1. Hal Goodson in his new Dodge, the number 50 car of the Lynch Motorsports machine, will line up alongside. Rookie Joel Kaufman, this is one of his home tracks, the LA West Vans car. And Brian Ross, the defending North Tour champion, also from Indiana. Third row from Ontario, Canada, Jason McClellan's Arctic Clear Chevy. Glenn Galt from Ohio in his car number 32. In the fourth row, North Tour points leader Eric Corbett from Hagerstown, Maryland, and rookie Pete Wormcastle in the 01 from New Haven, Indiana. Curtis Davis starts 9th in the Premier Motorsports Quality Brake Ford. Jeff Agnew, the former national champion, the Hooters NGA Golf Tour, 73.
And in row 6 is Jimmy Burns in that Hot Rod Jackaroo Sauces Chevrolet, and Jay Fogelman in Lucas Oil Ford.
Row number 8, Gerald Davis, the rookie, the 88 car from Delray, West Virginia. Veteran Charlie Ford, the Sun Graphics Chevrolet. The 8th row, rookie Robbie Thompson in the 5 car from Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. Scott Baker from Talmadge, Ohio, the Talmadge Asphalt Chevrolet. The 9th row, our third Canadian in the field, John Gaughan in his Dodge, the 25. Gary Bedell returns from Greenfield, Indiana, the Turbines Incorporated machine. 10th row, Joe Harrison from Renwick, West Virginia. Kyle Shoemaker from Belvedere, New Jersey in his Ford. Ray Peel is back in the 71. That's a Chevrolet. And Alan Bigelow, Tom's son, in car number 55. 12th and final row, rookie Brian Eckliff in the 02 from Mentor, Ohio, the Shannon Motorsports Chevrolet. Greg Van Alst from Anderson, Indiana, the Thermtech Systems car, and he will not be able to make the start, we're told, in car number 35. So 23 drivers set to go. We'll take a ride with Jay Fogelman in the 4 car. He starts pretty deep in the field, starting in the 12 holes.
Well, I like this shot because it's going to give you how rough this racetrack is going to knock him around in that seat pretty hard.
Onboard camera as well for Jimmy Burns, the Jackaroo Meat Sauces 92, the Chevrolet. Qualified pretty well. They'll line up alongside Fogelman in 11th. We ought to get a good look at the situation here at Salem from Joel Kaufman's 44 car.
Well, this young man's been running up front all year long. Nothing spectacular here. He's just going to do the same old thing.
He is back home again in Indiana. Curtis Davis is going to have to start from the rear, Stephen. What's the story?
The 68 car was quick all day long. In 3 out of 4 practice sessions today, Curtis Davis was fastest of everybody. He goes out in qualifying, gets too high in turn 3, and scrapes the outside wall. As a result, they have to replace the front right ball joint. They have to check the toe into the tires and square up the right side of the car. So they worked on the car, and now they will start at the back of the field. Watch for a big charge from the 68 car.
How big a disadvantage is he at having to start back there in the 12th row?
Well, it's a bad deal because we saw what happened at Winchester. You can get caught up in a wreck, but he's very dead last. He can stop and not drive into the wreck, but it's going to be a long night for that young man.
Curtis Davis will be trying to get back to the front as quick as he's been all weekend here at Salem. Our honorary starter, Lloyd Candler, division manager for Advanced Auto Parts. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Salem.
Well, that was a pretty good jump that he got up coming off turn 4, and they chose to go to the outside, which is the desired lane at this place, and get ahead of Hal Goodson.
Oh, trouble. Oh. Robbie Thompson goes around down into 3, spins up the racetrack, and gets tagged by Joe Harrison. And the yellow waves, we haven't even put 1 lap on the board. Alan Bigelow spins, and we're under caution for the first time tonight at Salem.
These guys just cannot settle down and get going, can they?
Not nearly as devastating a wreck as what we saw a couple of weeks ago at Winchester, going down into the first turn on lap 1, but 3 cars suffering damage. Alan Bigelow brings his yellow Chevrolet around. He will turn the car. They're going to have to straighten out the back end of that machine. Looks like he'll be able to continue. And you can see Thompson there apparently got tagged by Scott Baker.
I think Baker got into the wall just a little bit, bounced off, and actually just clipped him. And I'll tell you, at 130 miles an hour, it doesn't take much to get out of short. So, boy, what a way to start the day.
Robbie Thompson with heavy damage to the back end of that Ford Taurus. The Shear Metal Products 5 out of Canada. Part of the back end of that car sheared off. Joe Harrison's going to need to head to pit road as well as Alan Bigelow. Let's get it downstairs to Stephen Cox.
Well, you can take a look at the front end of that race car, and Rick, and tell that he's got problems. Joe Harrison with difficulties in turn 3. The crew is ready for him. They're going to jack up the right side of this race car and try to find out where the misalignment in the front end comes in. A flat right rear tire and troubles on the front right of the race car as well.
The Harrison Automotive Chevrolet may not be ready to go for the restart. Here's a look at Baker's Talmadge Asphalt Chevy. No visible damage on that Monte Carlo. Great crowd on hand. The Hooters girls enjoying the festivities. We'll be back for the restart at Salem.
USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing is brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo is served in America's finest backyard. Miller Lite. Miller Lite is the official sponsor of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Lucas Oil Products. Lucas Oil Products is a leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants.
Back on speed, meet Jill, one of the lovely Hooters girls. She'll be a contestant in the International Swimsuit Competition in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. It'll help mark the 20th anniversary of Hooters restaurants worldwide. Getting set for a restart, a complete restart. No laps on the board after that wreck going down into turn 3. Hal Goodson on the inside, the Lynch Motorsports Dodge. Fast qualifier Danny Sammons alongside, and Goodson gets the jump this time.
And Danny Sammons, he hated to see this because he got the great run last time, a little bit behind the deal with Hal Goodson. Hal out front, that's where he wants to be.
Hard to pass here at Salem. Goodson up high. Sammons tracking behind him in second. Third spot belongs to Brian Ross, who's got a bunch of victories here at Salem in a variety of cars. including winning here in Hooters Pro Cup competition 1 year ago. Fourth belongs to young Joel Kaufman, that LA West Vans Chevrolet. He's got a lot of experience here, too. And here comes Curtis Davis. Qualified well, got into the wall during his qualifying run. As we heard from Steven, had to drop to the back because they had a lot of work to do on the front end of that race car after that brush with the fence.
And here we're going to ride, and you're going to see just how rough this racetrack is. Watch how these cars actually move around on the racetrack. And shock package is so critical in this place. And you're looking at Brian Ross. The story of the day for me is this guy's in a 12-year-old race car. Their primary car was all tore up. They had to come with this old race car. It had last year's cylinder head, so they had to put 50 more pounds on it. And this guy's still running up front. Think it's a home field advantage or what?
I think local knowledge is always key in Hooters Pro Cup racing. Hal Goodson does not have much home track knowledge of Salem at all, but he's been blazingly fast here so far.
Well, he's raced here quite a few times in the All-Pro division and a couple of late model races. We went to Winchester.
Oh, trouble. One car in the wall on lap number 4. Jimmy Burns has attacked the wall hard in the Jackaroo Chevrolet. Burns spinning. He backed it in hard. There's a lot of rear-end damage to the 92 car. You can tell from the scuff marks there that he bounced quite a ways. The track safety crew here at Salem quickly to the scene. The thumbs up being given, so Jimmy says he's fine, but I suspect the race car is anything but fine.
Well, you like to see that because slapping with the left side, like you're going to see, that is an abrupt hit, and that's what will really shake your clock up.
Coca-Cola replay, take another look from the onboard camera. Gerald Davis on the high side, looks as though there was contact, and so he turned Jimmy Burns' car into the outside wall. Wow, that is a short night for Jimmy Burns. So Burns with the visor up. He is fine in the race car, but the hard hit into the wall. Well, what about it, Stephen Cox?
The 88 car of Gerald Davis involved in that accident. And guys, I don't know if you caught this, but that actually dated back to turn 4 earlier in the same lap. Now, they came down across the start-finish line, and these guys had been bumping for quite some time. So it's a miracle that Gerald didn't come off far, far worse than he did. Now, something else I want you to remember about Gerald Davis. Next week, or I guess it's 2 weeks from now, we go to Kilcare Speedway in Xenia, Ohio on the 4th of July. Well, Gerald Davis, 11 years ago on the 4th of July, married his wife on the holiday itself, and that night, they were at a racetrack together.
Under caution for the second time tonight here at Salem Speedway. Just a couple of laps on the board. We'll be back with more on Speed. Back at Salem, under caution for the second time tonight. Hal Goodson ready to bring the field to green after the Jimmy Burns wreck up in turn 1. A little help from Gerald Davis, right, Stephen Cox?
Jimmy, how do you feel? You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. The race car's not, though. Jackaroo's car was good tonight. I thought we had something for him, but I don't know. Gotta watch the tape and see what happened because that was a hard lick. I don't know if it's junk or not. It's pretty bad.
I was going to ask you what happened, and you don't know.
I was coming off, and I know he got in my right rear. I think the 88 got into the wall and bounced up into me and turned sideways and hit about as hard as you can in the left side. So it's just a shame. I hate it for everybody on this team. Everybody worked so hard today, and Jackaroo Beat Sauce is the greatest sponsor in the world, but we're out tonight.
Scott, it doesn't take much to get turned around here at Salem.
No, it doesn't. And the 88 car had a real good run at him. Got on the outside of just a little bit, and he squeezed into the wall. When he came off the wall, then they got together, and that's really the whole thing, what happened. Here's a car that's going to be the story of the night. If this guy could go from dead last to first, this is going to be fun to watch, and he's coming through the field like wildfire.
Curtis Davis getting by Kyle Shoemaker there for 14th spot. Naturally Fresh Foods Field summary, 15 laps on the board. Charlie Ford in 11. Scott Baker, who was involved in the first incident, still sitting 12th. And then Goodell in 13th spot up front. Still Hal Goodson in that blue Dodge, the number 50. Which Motorsports car out of South Carolina. Danny Sammons running in second. Brian Ross, Joel Kaufman, Jason McClellan. Your top 5 on a sun-splashed evening at Salem Speedway. Charlie Ford ran second here a year ago. We talked to him earlier today about how you get around this old place.
Well, the track is old. You know, it's like most of these long tracks. They get a lot of weather up here, and the asphalt's old track. It's got, you know, a lot of bumps and bruises in it. Your head sort of shakes around in the car when you're going around through the corners, and those headrests do a good job of holding your head fairly straight, but it's still a fun racetrack to drive.
Watching Jay Fogelman in car number 4. He started 12th. He's up to 10th. He doesn't like this place too much, does he, Scott?
Well, I think he enjoys it. He talked about it old, rough, and bruised up. That sounds like Charlie Ford to me. But watch this guy's head shake around in this race car. Man, this place is rough, but it's fun to drive.
Charlie Ford just got by Fogelman. Let's listen to Jay talk to his crew.
You okay, ain't you?
Yeah, I got this cramp in the top of my leg. I'm going to have to start right to a braking mark. That's the only thing I can do.
Jay, on our pit stop, if we rig up something to hold your heel up higher, would that help?
See if they got any of that grip tape. Y'all put me some grip tape down here, make me a little grid of grip tape and put on this slick floorboard, it'll help.
I think what he's talking about is it's so hard to keep your legs in order. I mean, you can't. They slide around at the bottom of the feet, and he's trying to hold his leg and not push against the brake at the same time. And he's trying to just barely brake with the top, because you go in, you're holding it wide up, you just barely touch the brakes and come right back off, and his leg keeps moving around. They're going to have to do something to support the bottom of his foot.
Battling for 5th spot, Jason McClellan in the 3 has the position. Glenn Gauld is right behind him. Gauld had a good run going here a year ago. That's Pete Wormcastle in the 01. The White Machine in 3rd in this group of cars. Jeff Agnew, part of the fun as well in the 73.
Jeff Agnew he went to his backup car. They had a problem with oil pressure in their primary car, so this is really an unknown for him. They're just trying to make some laps. Jason McClellan had a great race car at Winchester, got the nose knocked off it there early in the race. I look for him to have a really good race car for the rest of the night as well.
After those first couple of spins, everyone has settled down pretty nicely, and Hal Goodson's opened up almost a full straightaway lead on Danny Simmons, starting to catch some lap traffic. How about Curtis Davis approaching Scott Baker as they start the fight for 12th then?
And it's going to get a lot tougher. I've been watching him come up through the field. It's going to get tougher. These guys are running a whole lot better than the ones he's gone by, so you got to take his time, be patient. He's got a great race car because he was at the top of the speed charts all day long here. And for this guy, he's really come from short, flat tracks, not these big high banks.
There goes Davis swinging to the inside of Baker. He'll pick up another spot. Charlie Ford next in line. Boy, that car's working well at the bottom of the racetrack.
Awesome through 1 and 2. Absolutely awesome.
For the lead, meantime, Danny Simmons takes advantage of the slower traffic. He catches Goodson. He may have Hal picked off behind the 54 of Gary Bedell. Here comes Brian Ross. And Simmons is your new leader.
Well, that's just not fair. They ganged up on him and went on by. Hal, take it easy. Be patient. It'll come back to you. But, man, that's how it can happen so quickly. You run up on a lap car, you slow down a half second, bang, they're on top of you.
Well, the guy to watch here may be Brian Ross, who has a ton of experience at this racetrack, a lot of victories. Simmons the leader, but the slower car of Kyle Shoemaker directly ahead. Simmons will be able to turn inside coming out of turn 4 and work his way. No, he can't get by Shoemaker. Oh, trouble. Jason McClellan looks as though the motor's let go of the 3 car. Early in the going here tonight, the driver from Ontario, Canada, the Arctic Clear Chevrolet. 3rd caution of the night, 2nd official caution. The first one caused a complete restart, so it didn't count in the overall total. Take a look at it here. Goodson right in front of the 3 car.
And we had just how well he was running at Winchester, and it shows right here. He had caught the lead pack, and boof, away she goes.
Boof? How do you spell that?
It's gone.
Nothing to do with that one except get it out of gear and get it to the bottom of the racetrack.
What a tough break for that team. Wow.
They have not had much in the way of luck this season, and their rotten luck streak continues here at Salem as we check the Coca-Cola replay. Fans on their feet enjoying the show tonight as the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour stars do battle at Salem. The caution will allow some drivers to head to pit road for an early stop. Curtis Davis is headed down pit road too. What's his problem, Stephen?
Well, the guy we expected to be a hard charger coming up through the field has done just that. However, he'll give up a lot of those positions now, Rick, and here's why. Take a look at that left rear tire. It gets pretty rough out here at Salem Speedway, and they've decided that they're going to not take any chances at all on that left rear sheet metal rubbing up against the tire, because when you hit something at Salem, you hit it mighty, mighty hard. So they're going to bring him in, give up track position, and go out with a little more peace of mind.
Meantime, we want to find out what the situation is for Jason McClellan, whether that is, in fact, a blown motor. We'll check on that when we come back.
Stay tuned for more Hooters Pro Cup action.
Back at Salem Speedway for coverage of the Naturally Fresh Foods 250 presented by Lucas Oil tonight on Speed. It's Scott Sutherland and Stephen Cox. I'm Rick Benjamin. You're watching the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour, getting set for another restart. Let's hear about Jason McClellan's problems downstairs.
Jason, what happened?
I don't know. I guess maybe a motor oil or a motor line rubbed through or something. I didn't realize the caution was for me till the cockpit filled up with smoke and I couldn't pick out the smell. I thought maybe it was power steering at first, and then I guess it's motor oil.
No idea what it is, but is the engine running all right?
Yeah, the motor was running great, maybe a little warm, but we lost a bit of oil pressure there, and we thought we better just shut it off and save what we got left. Sooner or later, we'll get this monkey off our back, and we'll try to win one of these things.
Well, they've got to work hard to get that monkey off their back. Ready to go here on lap 34, riding with Joel Kaufman down into turn 1.
Yeah, that was kind of a bad luck, good luck deal because at least he saved the engine and that team will come back. They'll rebound.
Coming up high behind the 42 of Brian Ross in third spot.
We're just getting up to speed, and baby, here we come down off turn 4, and that place is rough. You cannot turn down in the middle of the corner, Rick. It's just too rough. You've got to stay in that high line to come off turn 4 to keep your momentum up.
35 laps go up on the board. Our Naturally Fresh Foods top 15. Danny Simmons continues out in front. Pete Wormcastle 6th ahead of Jeff Agnew. Eric Corbett, the points leader, in 8th. Gerald Davis 11th. Curtis Davis up to 12th. Robbie Thompson hanging on in 13th. He was damaged in that first wreck of the night back on lap number 1. Up in front, Simmons leading down the backstretch. Ross in 2nd. Joel Kaufman in 3rd. Boy, you've still got to be impressed with young Joel Kaufman.
I am, and every week it's the same old story, and you'd think he'd go to the rear one time for us to, say, well, that's kind of the rookie deal, but this kid has really put together a heck of a season. And if you look at the North or the South Division, this has to be the top nominee in that deal.
Certainly a prime contender for Rookie of the Year honors. This is for 10th. Look at Curtis Davis in that white number 68, the quality brake car. Right up behind Gerald Davis's black 88. Curtis Davis from the back of the pack had to start at the rear after problems on his qualifying run. Looking to the outside of Gerald Davis now.
And then they came to pit road, and they pulled the left rear quarter panel out. And the reason they do that is when you go in the corners, it hits so hard, the tire flexes and will actually rub against the quarter panel. They were afraid that it was going to rub too much and knock that tire off, so they came down pit road. They yanked on that thing really hard to get as much clearance as they could. You had to go back to the rear again, and this shows you how fast that race car is.
Up in front, top 3, still the 97 of Simmons, the 42 of Ross, the 44 of Kaufman. Now, Al Goodson, who led the first dozen laps or so tonight, has dropped back to 4th. There's Wormcastle in the 01. Jeff Agnew, the 73 car, the 75 of points leader Eric Corbett. He's been pretty quiet so far tonight.
Well, and yeah, Mr. Professor, we really expected him to come flying through here, but I think that's just a typical race of his. He's driving in his comfort zone. That's what a point leader does. Drive in your comfort zone, just make a good race, and last 50 laps, he's going to be in the middle of this thing.
Wormcastle in the 01, sitting in 6th position. He's a rookie out of Indiana. He's qualified well from New Haven, Indiana. The Whitwer Racing Ford. Hanging on in front of Agnew's Monte Carlo. And the 3rd car on line there is Corbett from Hagerstown, Maryland, and that's 75. He's got a victory so far this year. The guy we haven't seen a victory lane yet is Agnew. We'll talk more about him a little later. Meantime, Brian Ross putting more pressure on Simmons. The youngster Simmons doing a great job at keeping the defending champ at his mirrors.
Well, and I think Brian Ross enjoys this because he knows where he's going to go to make his move. He knows where he is most comfortable going around this race, trying to get his car in a position to make a pass, and he's just riding right now, just having a good time.
No change among the top 2 as they race off of turn 4. Joel Kaufman in that yellow and black machine is 3rd. It's been a difficult week for Darren Odell, Brian Ross, and their team. They lost a key backer this week. You see the signage on the rear deck in dedication for John. Let's get it downstairs to Steve and find out more about the situation.
Darren, I know your team had a tragedy this past week. Tell me about it, please.
Well, when I drove locally, I had a good friend of mine named John Johnson who sponsored our race cars. And he came on board as our primary sponsor back in 2001 when Brian and I teamed up to run ASA, and he was an associate sponsor on our car this year. He was over at Winchester with us, and then Monday after our bad crash, he was right over to the shop, offered to send one of his guys from North Carolina to Billy Hess's shop to get our car fixed. A couple days after that, after playing some basketball, he had a heart attack and he passed away. So we made that a Chevrolet for him. Thanks, Stephen.
One one of those situations you run into in life from time to time, but certainly doesn't make coming to the racetrack any easier.
Well, and with Darren, whoa, hold on.
Trouble. Joel Kaufman gets into the back end of Brian Ross's 42 car, turns him around. And the yellow waves, fourth time tonight, third official caution on lap number 50. So the Pointer Drywall Ford stops at the bottom of the track, just short of the guardrail. Brian Ross gets spun while he was running in second spot.
Well, in Darren Odell's, he had to go through a wheel of emotions going through that. And we were just talking to him, and now he sees his car get spun out. But hey, Darren, that team, those guys will regroup and get back together, just like Brian Ross going to go to the back of the field and show him how it's done.
Now Ross might have flat spotted a tire or two. There's another look at it. Kaufman just ran over him going into the corner.
Well, everybody checked up in front of him. There's just really no place to go. Remember, you're going 140 miles an hour off in these corners. It's really tough to get these 3,400-pound cars slowed up that quick.
Now the Speedco Lube Center's car this week, some extra sponsorship on the 42, comes to pit road. They'll fuel the car, take a look at it. They decide apparently not to add tires. They may pull some tape off the front end. Checking things to make sure the front end is square. As hard a hit as that was, it doesn't even look as though there's much damage to the back of the 42 car. Brian's wife up in the stands watching, making sure everything is well with her team. Let's get it downstairs to Stephen Cox.
Joel Kaufman very quick here all day. He's not spent a lot of time here on the high banks at Salem. He's been here a few times, and it was in truck races earlier in his career. Now, they came out and they tested here just last Monday, Scott. They ran an 18:22. Then they came back out again today, and all during practice today, they couldn't get better than an 18:46. They thought that the tires may have been a little bit out of balance on the race car. They were bottoming out in turns 3 and 4 with the very same setup. Now, Scott, you tell me what causes that. These guys threw everything at this race car.
Well, Stephen, in most cases, we do this a lot. We'll come on a cloudy day, or it might be 10 degrees difference in temperature. Makes all the difference in the world how your car's going to perform that day.
Aerodynamics could be a factor. The nose of that car pretty thoroughly bended. You do go quickly at Salem. We'll see when we come back. Back at Salem Speedway, coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Tour on speed with Scott Sutherland, Stephen Cox, Rick Benjamin, ready for a restart just past the 50-lap mark. Danny Sammons brings him under the green flag that's in the air. Hal Goodson right in his tire tracks. Goodson starting to gain some ground again. He's riding with Jay Fogelman, who sits ninth in the Lucas Oil Ford.
And I'm trying to find a comfort zone, but Jay Fogelman just really, I don't think he really likes these high banks. You know, it's not kind of his cup of tea. And every driver has their favorite tracks. Every driver has their not-so-favorite tracks, and this isn't kind of one of them. And I know, I've been this, it is tough to go around these places. Danny Salmon's been fast all day, pole sitter, and he's showing us why right now.
Here's Sunoco Race Fuel's full field rundown with 57 laps complete. Here comes Goodson. He's going for the lead down the front straightaway at the bottom. And he will get it back. And here comes Glenn Galt. He wants second spot in the 32. Has to get out of the gas, coming up onto the banking of the back straightaway.
And if you saw that Sunoco graphic, Brian Etcliffe was the very last guy out here, okay? He had to come down pit road on the very first lap, had problems under the hood, closed it up and rolled behind pit wall. What a tough break for that team. Hey, it cost just the same amount of money for the front runners to spec out.
A 0-2 car from Mentor, Ohio, the Shannon Motorsports Chevrolet. Brian qualified 23rd, unfortunately was not around for a green flag lap. A lot of battling all around the racetrack, but now Hal Goodson getting by Sammons, and you can tell that Sammons was holding up the 50 car.
Well, I think he was just kind of in that group, you know, and Hal led early, and they got snookered there, got back in line, and now I think that Dodge really likes out there in the clean air.
Does seem to be the case. Pete Wormcastle, heavy pressure from Jeff Agnew as they battle for fourth spot. Eric Corbett back there, too, in the 75. Wormcastle able to hang on. Agnew seems to be working better at the bottom of the track. Let's see if he can get it done.
Well, he works great in the bottom of 1 and 2, but somebody better tell him it's very difficult to pass coming off turn 4. Oh, because it's so hard to keep your momentum. It's so rough coming off turn 4, and that guy on the outside is going to be 10 miles an hour faster.
Wormcastle able to use the high side to advantage, and now he pulls out 3 car lengths on Agnew. Here comes Fogelman in the 4. He was running in 9th a few moments ago. Oh, there's trouble on the backstretch. Charlie Ford goes around and tags Joel Kaufman up in turn 3. And the yellow waves, 4th official caution of the night on lap 62. Looked as though Ford just got out of shape heading down into the third corner. Kaufman was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And that's been happening to him mostly tonight. That's not a rookie mistake. That's just, it can happen to anybody, and this young man's done a great job, just at the wrong place at the right time.
Take a look at the Coca-Cola replay from the 44 car. There you see Ford out of shape. Kaufman tries to go high and avoid him, but there was contact. Both cars suffering heavy sheet metal damage. Charlie Ford got up into the outside wall. So Kaufman's got some rear body damage to go with the front body work that was dinged up earlier when he got into Brian Ross's race car. We'll be back. Back at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana on speed, the Naturally Fresh Foods 250, presented by Lucas Oil Products with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. Stephen Cox is on pit road tonight, and we are under caution for this incident involving Charlie Ford and young Joel Kaufman. Kaufman getting tagged and turned around just a few laps after he'd gotten into the back end of Brian Ross. Just missed another car on the way by on the bottom. We'll see if the 14 and the 44 will be able to restart as we are lined up. Coming up next for the Hooters Pro Cup Tour, the South Tour in action, Southern National Speedway in Kenly, North Carolina, this coming Saturday night, the 28th. It's the Bryant Heating and Cooling 250. If you're in the North Carolina area, be sure and order your tickets now. That is a terrific racetrack. Ought to be a great show. We'll have the coverage for you next week here on Speed. Al Goodson in that blue Dodge, the Lynch Motorsports 50 car, your restart leader. Right behind him, Danny Sammons. Glenn Galt will line up third on lap 68. Here we go. And Goodson just drives away from Danny Sammons. Galt trying to find room inside the 97 to take over second spot. Your Naturally Fresh Foods top 15 on lap 68. Brian Ross back to 11th after that earlier incident. Glenn Galt with a good night tonight, but Stephen, he's had a trouble-filled day.
Glenn Galt running a great race in third position right now. He was in a great mood joking around with me before the race in spite of the fact that they had no alternator. They had a bad ground or a problem of some sort. They really felt sure that it wasn't the alternator itself that had gone bad, so they fished around, and just about 9 minutes before qualification started, they found it. It was a bad wire connection going to and from the alternator. Otherwise, they were going to cross their fingers and see if they could go 250 laps on battery alone.
Wow. Well, you can do that as long as you don't run the fan in the car or you don't have a rear end pump in the car that's electronic. You know, we've raced for years with just a single battery that we charged it, did not run it all there, so they could get by, and hopefully they found the ground problem. That would help them tremendously.
It's a warm night, though, here. When we started, air temperature 83, the track temperature close to 95 degrees. I would think you might need the fan tonight.
Well, as long as you keep if we're under green, you got enough air going in the front of the car that's going to keep the engine cool. If the sun's going down, it's going to cool off a little bit. Now, when you're under caution, that's a different story. You have to keep going fast enough. So it's going to be a little bit problem then, but just use it sparingly. I think they'll make it.
We'll see what happens when they make their pit stop a little later. That's Glenn Galt's 32 car running third. Goodson in the 50. Now, remember, he came from, trouble at turn 4. Huge wreck. 4 cars involved. Gary Bedell in the 54, Scott Baker, Robbie Thompson again, he was 12th. Second wreck tonight, Ray Peel in the 71. That's the car back to you, the C.R. Peel Construction Chevrolet. And that big incident happening coming off the 4th corner here at Salem Speedway. Scott Baker, strong contender here in that Talmadge Asphalt Chevrolet, had a great run at Winchester. He's okay. You can see him moving around in there, but none of those cars able to move at the moment.
Oh, that car's wrecked. And Gary Bedell, his first time back this year. What a way to end it. We'll be back to see how it works out.
There's lots of racing action at Salem Speedway.
Neat way to spend some time here at Salem. We're under red flag conditions due to that big wreck in turn 4. Let's get the thoughts of Scott Baker on the incident.
Well, Scott, this side of the race car still looks okay.
That was a pretty hard look. That 5-car lost it, and I had no place to go. So it's a tough break for the Bullet Racing team. Talmadge Asphalt, I mean, we didn't have that great qualifying run, but I think we could have salvaged something tonight. I think we could have got up into the top 5 or 6, but I think we're done for the night, but we'll see.
Waiting to see what happens. Take a look at the next 5 events for the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North and South Tours. Southern National this coming week, then Xenia, Nashville, Radford, and Hickory Motor Speedway. Stephen standing by with Robbie Thompson now.
Robbie, are you okay? You're hustling around here. You must be in good shape physically.
Yeah, I'm all right physically. Just a tough break, the whole sheer metal products. TTR Transport Ford's pretty beat up, and car broke loose getting in down there, and kind of disheartening. We're looking for a good run today.
Well, you're going to have to get back to work very quickly, so we'll let you go. Guys, this is the kind of fella that jumps in and does his own work and does it very, very quickly. Scott, have you ever been on a team where you've had to do this much work yourself?
Every chance I get. You know what? A driver that can do all that is a better race car driver for it. He's part of the team. They put everything together. They die together. They eat together. I like it that way. It's a whole lot better to put a team together.
And the driver understands what makes the race car work generally.
Absolutely.
We'll be back. Back at Salem Speedway for the Naturally Fresh Foods 250. Getting set for a restart. Fans of all ages enjoying the show tonight. Quite a program being staged here at Salem. Let's hear more from Rodney down on pit road. Rodney Middlebrooks works with Charlie Ford and the boys. The 14 car in some trouble earlier tonight.
Tell me about the 14 car. I know you guys have already been in a couple of times. What's up with Charlie?
Well, we decided that we were going to pit early, wait as long as we could to put tires on it. So we decided to pit in the first 50 laps and get gas, and that would put us to about 225. Then we got spun out over there, so we came back in and looked, and everything's okay. We're going to ride a while and try to pit about 200, 225 and put tires on it and go to the end.
That's good news for Charlie Ford and his team. Certainly looked as though they might be finished for the night.
Well, Rodney, I like your strategy, but I'll tell you what happened to me when I was here. We figured the same thing. Wait till lap 200, 225. I blew it right front on 206 and hit the wall. So be careful of that, but I like that strategy.
83 laps go up on the board. Green flag back in the air. Hal Goodson takes off once again. Danny Simmons hanging on to second in front of Glenn Galt. Pete Wormcastle's worked his way up to fourth as we check our Naturally Fresh Foods field summary. Jason McClellan at the bottom there in the 3 car, trying to hang on to the lead group, get himself back into contention. Goodson pulling away once again. Fourth belongs to Wormcastle. Eric Corbett in the 75 car right there in fifth. Wormcastle to the inside of Glenn Galt. Galt with that concern about their electricals in that race car tonight. So far, no problems. But the guy who's really got no problem is Hal Goodson. Clean racetrack.
Well, what about Hal Goodson? We go to Winchester, and the guy, they've had a terrible season. They say, we're going to do something to change our luck. They paint the car blue. They win the race. They come here and look at them. They are flying. So I'm telling you, folks, if you got a race car and you're not running good, paint your car.
Paint it blue.
That's it. All of a sudden, you're going to run up front.
Kind of a petty blue color scheme on that car as well. Very pretty looking race car. There's Galt's 32. You get a look at Goodson down the back straightaway. Salmon's next. There's Galt in the American Title Insurance Chevrolet. Wormcastle's 01. Curtis Davis flying up through the field. Brian Ross trying to get back toward the front as well. Curtis Davis may have the quickest car on the racetrack at the moment.
Well, the 50 car is out front. He likes clean air.
Oh, Eric Corbett in trouble down the backstretch. The Larry & Sons Ford. Looks as though he is off the pace. He was up in fifth. The North Tour points leader with one victory already this year. Doesn't look as though he's going to be able to stay in the top 5. That moves Curtis Davis up into fifth.
And Curtis Davis has been coming through the field all night. He just keeps passing and passing. The 50 cars out front, it likes clean air. It's obvious that that car is much better with the downforce, with nothing in front of it. But Curtis Davis, I'm with you. I think he's got the faster race car. He just got to get out in the open.
Ryan Ross there in the 42. Gerald Davis. There's Gaunt in the 25. Eric Corbett back to 9th now. I wonder if he's dropped a cylinder in that car. Looked as though he was just it didn't have any speed down the backstretch before.
Well, it still rolls through the corner halfway decent. You can see he's under control, so it's got to be an ignition problem, or maybe they broke a valve spring. Something, it's just dead, like you said.
Corbett right behind John Gaunt in the 25 out of Barrie, Ontario, Canada, the Centennial Chrysler Dodge machine. A nose-to-tail dogfight going on there. Corbett may just have bobbled in the corner, maybe getting back up to speed now.
And sometimes when you lose your momentum, you can get out of shape and you have to regroup. And sometimes you have to catch your breath in order to get back going again. There's a strong move coming off turn 2. Got to get all the way when you go into turn 3, though.
Not easy to pass on the inside on the backstretch here, but he's going to try to make the move, and Corbett will get by John Gaunt. So there, as you said, a very strong move. Seems to be back up to full cry now. Charlie Ford's 14 car alongside Jeff Agnew as they fight for position. Agnew trying to come back through the field. Been an interesting night. Jeff Agnew working with a backup car now. They were up in the top 5 earlier. They've backpedaled, now trying to make it back to the lead group of cars as they battle for 10th. Stephen, what's the situation for Agnew and his team?
Well, Rick, Agnew's actually doing a pretty good job considering the hand he's been dealt today. If you remember 2 weeks ago at Winchester, they had dirt in the carburetor, and after qualifying, they had to come in and fix it. That put them all the way to the back end of the field. Well, by lap 87, they were leading the race. Then they had a battery die, so they had to come in, change the battery, and they still finished in 4th place at Winchester. So don't count these guys out just because they're in their backup car. They had the primary car out early in practice today. They ran 4 laps and suddenly lost all oil pressure. So Jeff brought the car back in. They put the entire setup over on their backup car. They took it out with no practice whatsoever, and they're actually still hanging on and doing fairly well with it.
That is a trouble-filled weekend for Jeff Agnew and his team. Curtis Davis, meantime, up behind Glenn Galt for 2nd spot. They're right with Danny Simmons, who's been in that position for it seems like 75 laps now.
And Danny Simmons is your pole sitter, so he's no slouch. That's a good group of cars, and they're fast right now.
The fastest car of all the 50 of Hal Goodson. Winner 2 weeks ago in Winchester. A survival night for him there. There's Jason McClellan in the 3 car back up to speed. He missed 47 laps after what we thought was a blown motor. Scott, evidently an oil line came loose on that car.
Well, Rick, with the vibration and the rough of this racetrack, odd things like that will happen that you're just not prepared for, and that's what caught McClellan's team. That it just caught them like that.
These 2 cars, the last 2 on the lead lap at this point. The 44 of Joel Kaufman was running up in 3rd earlier. Right behind the 4 of Jay Fogelman. They are fighting for 12th spot. Here's Sunoco Race Fuel's full field rundown at lap 100. Brian Ross in 6th. Gerald Davis, who's been in trouble tonight, in 7th. Ford is 11th. Fogelman and Kaufman. Kyle Shoemaker is 14th. Joe Harrison Jr. back in the hunt, 8 laps down, but he is 16th. Then a host of drivers involved in wrecks. Ryan Eckliff off after just 1 lap with mechanical problems. Watching Glenn Galt in the 32. He runs 3rd. 4th spot to Curtis Davis, who had to start at the back. He has gained 19 spots. Steven standing by with his crew chief.
You know, you guys may have the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
Well, we've been good all day. We had a little trouble qualifying. We got the fence up there, but we worked on it. The boys worked on it hard. Curtis is doing a good job right now. I'm just telling you, big patience.
Good advice, certainly, in a place like Salem.
Yeah, don't you love it when the crew chief said, we had a little problem, we got in the fence. Hey, the driver hit the fence, had a great race car, but hey, that's trying to get the pole and get every last bit of speed out of the race car, just like he is right now.
Well, the Premier Motorsports bunch, that 68 car on the fly up to 3rd now, right behind Sammons. Doesn't look like it'll take much time before he may have a shot at 2nd. As Curtis Davis takes a look inside, Danny Simmons, who's the best qualifier here this weekend. Big thumbs up at Salem. We'll be back. Green flag continuing to be displayed here at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana. The Naturally Fresh Foods 250 tonight, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Here on speed, Hal Goodson, your leader in car number 50. He's just lapped Jay Fogelman. 114 laps complete, just short of halfway. Kyle Shoemaker off the pace at the bottom of the racetrack in the yellow number 27. Your Naturally Fresh Foods field summary. Gerald Davis up in 6th, right in front of Pete Wormcastle. No one has anything at the moment for Goodson. For 7th spot, meantime, Pete Wormcastle in the 01. Eric Corbett from Hagerstown, Maryland. He's the North Tour points leader in that red 75 car. He's back up to speed in 8th. Let's meet Pete Wormcastle, learn more about our Tucson Star of the Week.
I've pretty much been racing since I was 15 years old. The first race I ran in, it was at a 250-lap Enduro at Bear Field, and I won it. And I took the Enduro car to Bryan, Ohio, and won the track championship with it that year. No, I'd pretty much helped him do everything from when I could start doing stuff, you know, age 10, 12. I'd take the tires off, clean the car. Then as I got older, he'd say change a spring or change a shock. That was our original plan when we started out. We wanted to be in the top 15, in which we are doing that. We had a couple bad finishes where we got laps down and penalties, and I got to get past the penalties and not jump the starts. But that's about where we wanted to be. I want to be up higher. We've ran into the top 5 racing. This is my #1 race fan, Mary, my little daughter, 10 years old. Say hi.
Hi.
it means a lot for her to come with me. She does enjoy it. Her mom wanted her to stay home this weekend and go to a party, and she'd rather went to the races. My wife's real forgiving for all the time I spend at the race shop and at the races, and I appreciate that, and I love her. One other thing I'd like to say is thank Kyle Whitwer for all the help that he's given us. Without him, we probably couldn't even come to the racetrack today.
Pete Wormcastle battling it out for sixth with Brian Ross. Right behind him, Eric Corbett. Wormcastle, for a first-year driver on the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Scotty's been impressive all season long.
Yeah, I think he's put together a very good season. So if you can stay in the top 5 and be in contention, that's all you need to do the first year. Just get laps under your belt.
Coming up on halfway in a couple of laps, Wormcastle brushing the wall down the backstretch there. We show you the top 10. Hal Goodson all alone out in front. He wants that halfway bonus money. While we were hearing from Pete Wormcastle, the 27 car Kyle Shoemaker's machine, been black flag, dragging some body work. We saw him off the pace down the backstretch. He has been to pit road. Eric Corbett in the 75, most impressive this year, but not in contention for the halfway bonus. The halfway award tonight will go to Hal Goodson, the Lucas Oil Products $1,000. Hal has led 92 laps in that Lynch Motorsports Dodge. We've seen 2 lead changes through the first half of the action tonight here at Salem Speedway. So Goodson, I think, really taking a lot of sustenance from that victory, that upset win, if you will, at Winchester when he survived the 250 laps there a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I think it's been a gel. This team has really come in slow. I really thought at the beginning of the season they would come in by storm. It's taken a while for them to put it all together. The last couple of weeks they've really gelled and gotten that team going.
Battling for position, Agnew and Wormcastle. And Jeff Agnew in the NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet to the bottom. And he will get by Wormcastle up in 3 and 4. This one may be coming to Agnew just a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I saw him working that steering wheel awful hard. His car may be just a little bit loose. Your tires are hot. The air pressure is up. And you go across those bumps. It's a little bit out of control, but you are most of the time around the racetrack. But Jeff Agnew, he just driving the wheels up like he does week in and week out.
Joel Kaufman in the 44, final car on the lead lap here at Salem. Your leader continues to be Goodson in that Lynch Motorsports 50. Now that we're past halfway, we had all those cautions during the first 50 or 60 laps tonight. We'll start to see what fuel strategy is going to be employed by these front-running teams. Brian Ross, Eric Corbett for 6th, and Corbett swings the 75 car by Ross.
And that was a good, strong move through 3 and 4. Not very many cars can do that. Turn on the bottom and come off the corner. Eric Corbett, we thought he was out of it earlier, slowed down, and all of a sudden he's come back. He's got a very good race car at this point.
Oh, caution. Trouble over in turn 2. John Gaunt has spun. It's our 6th official yellow of the night on lap 130 with 120 laps to go. Gaunt was in the top 10. Twirled it right in front of Goodson. Goodson able to stay away from the 25. So Hal Goodson will maintain the lead, but this will give Curtis Davis an opportunity maybe.
And I think now that we closed the gap, we're going to find out how good Curtis's car really is. But this is where you have to make a decision. He's on the brakes hard. Do I go up, down, up, down? You're still carrying a lot of speed. Open the door and drive on through. Lucky break for Hal Goodson.
Take a look here from Kaufman's car. He's behind Gaunt. No contact. Gaunt just went around. Now, is that a case of worn rear tires?
Well, I think that's a case of you know that leader's back there. You're driving it just as hard as you can to stay on the lead lap, and maybe just a little bit of air come off the spoiler.
So Gaunt gets it pointed in the right direction, but he may well head to pit road. The leaders will go first, though. As we're past halfway, Hal Goodson says, okay, I've seen enough. Time to come to pit road for some fuel, presumably some fresh Goodyear tires as well. He'll lead the top group of cars to their stall. Stephen Cox is there.
And the 50 car of your leader, Hal Goodson, just about runs over his own Jackman. We got a little bit of a crowded pit road down here right now, guys. Hal Goodson comes in. They want to make no changes to that race car whatsoever, and why on earth would they? Meanwhile, the car of Danny Salmons has run up front all day long in a top 5 position. Salmons once again running 6 races this year. Disasters occurring in at least 5 of them with accident after accident. I talked to him before the race and I said, you know, it's about time to pay off with your first win. You realize that, don't you? He laughed and said, yeah, in fact, Stephen, we're probably overdue. But you'll remember, Rick, last year at this same racetrack, this is where Danny Salmons led his first ever laps in Hooters Pro Cup competition. He likes this place.
Well, Pete Wormcastle seems to like it here as well. He's down and away first, and he'll lead the group of lead lap cars back onto the racetrack, and he will take over the top spot. Hal Goodson's team taking their time on pit road. So Wormcastle will be the first car back up onto the surface. Let's hear from his crew chief, who's also his dad.
Wow. Where were you before and where were you after, and how did you do all that?
I think we were running 7th, maybe 8th. We come in, took 2 tires and fuel, and came out the leader is what I've been told.
Now, do you guys want to come back in for another 2 right side tires really late in the show?
Depending on how the yellow flags drop, we may come in and put 2 lefts on, but we don't need them.
Well, the car's got to be perfectly balanced then. I mean, to be able to go out and not wear tires away like that, the car's got to be really good.
He's complained earlier in the race that the car was just a little bit loose, and 50 laps in, he quit complaining, and we haven't heard from him since.
Well, sometimes they do fix themselves like that.
That's Hooters Pro Cup racing at its best.
We'll be back with more at Salem right after this. Back at Salem Speedway, Salem, Indiana, on speed, the Naturally Fresh Foods 250, presented by Lucas Oil Products. It's the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series, the North Tour tonight with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. Time to check the Lucas Oil race recap. Much of the action in the first 75 laps tonight. We took the green flag a little while ago, and there was trouble on lap 1. Robbie Thompson got turned around going into turn 3. Joe Harrison got into him, and that brought out our first yellow before we'd even put 1 lap on the board. Alan Bigelow also involved. After the official start, just 4 laps in, Gerald Davis and Jimmy Burns contact going down into 1. Burns turns around, side slaps the wall, and the yellow is out yet again. On lap 28, Jason McClellan from Ontario, Canada, trailing right behind Hal Goodson. Apparently an oil line popped off the motor of the 3 car, laid down a huge stream of smoke. We got the engine had let go, but they have repaired the car, and McClellan's back in the race on lap 34. Coming to a restart, Danny Sammons was out in front. Right behind him, Brian Ross. Bill Kaufman third in line. Ross heading to the front at that point. And then lap number 50, down into the corner. Ross gets tagged from behind by the rookie Kaufman and turned around. Ross avoids trouble, doesn't hit anything. Alan Bigelow sneaks by, but Ross had to go to the rear. 60 laps up on the board this time, and Goodson in that 50 car to the inside of Danny Sammons. Sammons had led a lot of the early going. Glenn Galt right there as well. And Hal Goodson took back the lead. On lap 62 tonight at Salem, riding with Kaufman. He gets tagged going into turn 3. Charlie Ford had gone spinning across the racetrack. Both those cars suffered some damage. That brought out another yellow flag. And on lap 76 here at Salem, big wreck coming out of turn 4. Ray Peel in the 71. Robbie Thompson again. Gary Vidal in the 54, the 11 car of Scott Baker. And that caused a red flag. And that's your Lucas Oil race recap tonight at Salem. Preparing for a restart, Pete Wormcastle in the 01. Jay Fogelman in the 4. Goodson in the 50. Fogelman shown as the final car on the lead lap. Wormcastle grabbed the lead on pit road.
Yeah, and that was a great stop, but the key is they only put 2 tires on. I don't know how that's going to work out. I guess he'll know as well as anybody when we get going for him.
The sun finally starting to drop behind the banking here at Salem, so the lights are on, and we're racing at night for the first time. Lap 136, our Naturally Fresh Foods field summary. Brian Ross is 6th. Jay Fogelman did not stop when the leaders elected to stop. That got him back on the lead lap, and he is the final car shown on the lead lap. But here comes Wormcastle trying to drop the 4 car a lap down.
Well, what Jay Fogelman needs is a caution. He needs a caution bad so he can get back on this lead lap, because the guys with the new tires are going to blow right on by him. There's nothing he can do about it.
Wormcastle does dispatch the 4 car. The crew applauding their driver, the rookie from Indiana. Able to hold off Hal Goodson at least for now, but with just the 2 tires instead of 4, you don't think they'll last, do you?
Well, I don't know if that's a good choice, or he had such a good race coming in. I don't know if it's worth the gamble, but hey, he's leading the race. Give him the 5 points and let him have some fun and get him an opportunity.
For 4th spot, Agnew in the 73, Corbett in the 75, Ross in the 42. You've got 3 very good cars there. Hal Goodson has been the dominant car of late. Right now, though, he sits 2nd behind rookie Pete Wormcastle. And here comes Curtis Davis again in the quality brake car.
And I think that's the hot rod car right now. That 68 car is fast.
Goodson looks to the bottom out of turn 2. Wormcastle able to hang in there and hold him back. I think Goodson's faster than the 01, but here at Salem, if you can run quickly enough and stay in the groove, you are awfully hard to pass.
Well, it's 0.2 of a second. 0.2 is the magic number. If you're 0.2 slower, you can still keep them at bay because they cannot pass you. It's after that is where it really becomes a separation. You have to get that desired line in order to make the move.
Wormcastle stays up on the banking and remains the leader in the 0-1.
Oh.
Davis trying to see if he's got room at the bottom to get around Goodson. It's Davis in the white 68 with the orange markings on the car. Goodson in the blue Dodge, the number 50, the Lynch Motorsports entry out of South Carolina.
Well, I think the strategy was good with the 0-1, but I can tell he's holding this group up just a little bit. You can see they're single file. They're working hard not to run over each other. I think once they clear, you're going to see a different race.
Curtis Davis in the 68 wants more than third spot.
Oh,
Goodson gives him some racing room up high. Jeff Agnew says, hey, I'll get up in this thing as well. Goodson loose off the corner, and Davis powers to second. Now, Goodson's car does not seem to be working nearly as well low as it is high. Why would he go to the bottom?
Well, you're still on good tires. These guys are all on good tires.
Davis right around Wormcastle up on the wall. Curtis Davis grabs the lead for the first time tonight, and look at him drive away from Wormcastle.
That's a young man with no fear. I'm driving it in there no matter what, and the door opened, and he kicked on through it.
So Curtis Davis takes over. Last to first the drive tonight for the Quality Brake team. And now Goodson and Agnew, they're stuck behind Wormcastle, who's not nearly as strong.
You have to show some patience, but yes, if you drop to the bottom, you got to have a very good run to get off the corners to finish the pass. Hal Goodson got himself caught down there and just really was lucky to get back in line.
What's hurting Goodson, I think, is he's not as good off the corner as Wormcastle.
He's not as good off turn. He can't turn down off turn 4. If he can turn down off turn 4, he's lapped the field.
Closing in on 100 to go. Ross still 6th, Galt 7th, Gerald Davis 8th, Sammons 9th. Joel Kaufman, despite 2 incidents, hangs on in 10th. Alan Bigelow and Jimmy Burns out there making laps in the 55 and the 92. This is your second place runner. The 01 of Pete Wormcastle led some laps a few moments ago. Curtis Davis blew by him and has said see you later to the rest of the field. And Goodson, who led so many laps, led to halfway. Can't get by the 01 car.
It looks to me like the 50 car is just a little bit too tight in the middle of the corner. Just can't get it to turn. There he got a little loose, but that's because he's pulling the wheel and in the gas at the same time. He's going to be very, very careful so his nose doesn't slide up too far.
Curtis Davis, meantime, has the luxury of being able to go any place he wants to. As we show you the Sunoco full field rundown with 100 laps left tonight here at Salem. Agnew takes a peek to the bottom of the 50. Cannot get the jump off the corner you need to make the pass. Corbett in the 75 is 5th. Right behind Agnew. Goodson diving low into 3. That's a move that doesn't usually pay off here.
You can tell he wants to really bad. He wants to just drive it in there. There's a lot of patience behind him. These guys really are not bumping and banging as much as you would normally think. This is a high bank racetrack. You got to be very careful. But they are all showing a lot of patience.
Agnew takes a look to the bottom. That opens the door for Corbett up high. Corbett has to back out of it. Here's Goodson off 4, trying to turn inside Wormcastle and take back 2nd. Wormcastle able to hold him off with those fresh right side tires. Goodson may get an opportunity here in 3, but has to get out of it.
He knows that he cannot go in on the bottom because the front end's going to wash up and take both of them out. Very smart. Just relax. Show some patience. I think the 2 tires are going to wear out on the 01 car eventually anyhow.
But patience in a situation like this may be the toughest thing for a driver, because if you're Goodson, you've been the leader, you know how good your car is. Meantime, you're watching Curtis Davis drive away.
Well, one caution will take all that away, and the thing is that Dodge, it really likes the clean air. So yes, it's much better when he's in front and on clean air, but he still has to be patient. You don't want to tear your good race car up at this point of the race.
Looks low. Contact Agnew. Bobbling. Brian Ross takes advantage and dives to the bottom. They're lapping by Joe Harrison Jr. in the 57 car out of Renwick, West Virginia, the Harrison Automotive Chevy. He was involved in one of the early spins here tonight. Agnew straightens her out. That lets Corbett move up, though, behind Goodson.
Corbett did the right thing. He got that move on the top of the 73 car and got his nose in there, and there just wasn't enough room for both of them. They both got out of that thing much better than what could have happened. There's the move.
Goodson to the bottom in turn 2. Gets by Wormcastle and retakes second. Here comes Corbett for third now in the 75. Remember earlier, Corbett had a problem. He backpedaled. We thought he might have motor problems, but apparently it was just a quick thing. The car straightened itself back out, and Corbett's back up to speed. And now Agnew, seeing if he can get by Wormcastle.
Well, I think with Eric Corbett, I think that's when you're the points leader, don't do anything crazy. He got himself in a couple bad positions. He got back out of it, realized there's a lot of race left. Now we see him up in the top 5.
Jeff Agnew, meantime, trying to race his way underneath Wormcastle. A little bit of sheet metal trading going on down into turn 1. Brian Ross locks him up. He gets into Wormcastle.
How did they do that?
Gauld has to slam on the brakes as well. Ross manages to get by, and Gerald Davis sneaks through. Danny Salmons shuffled deep in this group of cars. Brian Ross kind of pinballed his way up through there.
And I don't know how they saved it. That was a tremendous job of just saving those race cars. That was.
Your Coca-Cola replay, Agnew inside Wormcastle. Agnew in the 73. Ross trying to turn inside Wormcastle, but was carrying too much speed, I guess, in the corner.
Well, he's trying to get it turned down right as you get to the middle of the corner. You get a great run off, and he just mistimed it, just a split second.
Meantime, for second, look at Eric Corbett. He has closed right in on the back decklet of Hal Goodson's machine. We'll be back at Salem. We're at Salem Speedway, back with you on Speed, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour tonight. Eric Corbett in the 75 leading the season standings. Less than 90 laps remain. Curtis Davis, your leader. Hal Goodson second. Here's the car that's been out in front the last couple of laps or so. Had to start last after a problem on his qualifying lap. They had to work on the car and relegated him to 23rd spot on the grid. Didn't take Davis very long to get through the field. Hal Goodson led a lot of laps earlier. And Davis just got by him and has pulled away. Corbett now chasing the 50 car down for second spot.
And this is a very good matchup right here with Eric Corbett, Hal Goodson. A lot of experience in Goodson. Eric Corbett is kind of new to these race cars, but yet he's putting together a tremendous season, and it's typical of his style of racing. Just be methodical and take your time and get your car in a position, and that's what he does week in and week out.
Thought Goodson had a good shot at 2 in a row after surviving and winning at Winchester 2 weeks ago. He did lead at halfway here tonight, but right now it looks like Curtis Davis is the guy to reckon with. If you're Goodson sitting back there watching that 68 pull away, what are you going to try to do? Are you going to make one more stop? What's your strategy going to be?
No, the 50 car, they do not want to make any more stops. They want to just finish this thing out. And if, yep.
Oh, trouble. More trouble on the racetrack. Our 7th caution of the night. And Pete Wormcastle has gotten into trouble. He's had some contact out there. Back bodywork knocked loose on the car. Wormcastle led after the round of pit stops. He got off pit road first. Was able to hold on for a few laps. Charlie Ford tagging Wormcastle and causing problems. 5 races in the books for the North Tour Stars. Corbett the leader by just 2 over Brian Ross coming in. 20 points back is Agnew. Curtis Davis, who's leading here, is 6th, but he's well within hailing distance of the lead. Gaunt McClellan, Forrest Urban, who's not here, and Scott Baker. Downstairs to Stephen Cox.
The 01 car of Pete Wormcastle will come in for repairs, but I'll tell you, Rick, he did an outstanding, masterful job of driving what was really not the fastest race car on the track, and he had it in the lead after some excellent pit work, and he kept it out there and did a fine job with it. The car did go just a little bit loose on him, and of course that cost him quite a bit. However, Pete's comfortable on these kinds of racetracks. You know, he grew up here in central Indiana like me, running on very high banked racetracks, so he's very comfortable being out here right now. They still feel that they have an opportunity at a top 10 finish here at Salem Speedway. He's run Winchester, he's run Angola, he's run Anderson Speedway, a lot of Indiana racetracks that have high banking, and now his crew is jumping up and down trying to get him back out of pit row.
Wormcastle, like Joel Kaufman, a veteran of the Sunoco Super Series late model competition in Indiana. We'll be back at Salem. Back at Salem under caution, getting set for a restart. The Naturally Fresh Foods 250, presented by Lucas Oil with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. Stephen Cox is on pit road for us tonight. Lapped cars at the bottom, lead lap cars up high, and Pete Wormcastle back to pit road, Stephen.
Well, this is why they were called in originally. Take a look at the orange tape on the back of the Whitwer racing car of Peter Wormcastle. They were called in by USAR officials because that bumper was dragging and it was not safe to leave them out. Now, take a look at the front right of this race car, and you'll see why they're back in now under green and why their race is going down the tubes right now as we speak. Right front problems with the race car that date back to the accident that brought out the yellow in the first place. Now we've gone back under green, Scott, and he's in big trouble.
Yeah, I'd say he's in big trouble. What can you contribute that to? Wrong place, wrong time. I think if they'd have got 4 tires and just, I think he had a better race car. He had a great race car all night long, just got himself in a bad position.
But when you're sitting there on jack stands and the green comes back out, your chances of victory are gone. Back underway, Curtis Davis in the 68, dominant. Al Goodson a little bit closer this time, couple of car lengths back in second.
Yeah, but we saw the restart. Hal Goodson had a great run on Curtis Davis and couldn't finish it off. How well is Curtis Davis's car? We're going to get about 10 more laps, get the tire situation. When they get up to heat, the air pressure comes back. I think he's got a hot rod.
Davis in the quality brake Ford out in front. The Dodge of Goodson, the blue 50, running in second. He led a lot of laps earlier, led to halfway here tonight. Third to Eric Corbett in the 75, and a really good run, I think, for Corbett, the Larry & Sons team. Corbett had dropped off the pace for a while in the first 100 laps. Got back up to speed and is up to third. Brian Ross, who won the North Tour Championship in his rookie year in that 42 car. That's a borrowed race car. He is back in 5th behind Jeff Agnew, who's advanced to 4th again in the 73.
And to go back to Pete Wormcastle, that crew was elated when they were leading. It was the best thing going. That is the ups and downs of motorsports and in racing in general. You can be so high one minute and so low the next.
Curtis Davis with nobody in front of him now. He can run his own line and his own pace here at Salem. That's a pretty comfortable place to be now that the sun's down. It's starting to cool off a bit. I bet things are feeling pretty good in that 68 car.
Well, when you're as young as he is, you know, he doesn't have a lot of experience, especially at a place like Salem, which usually it takes a driver 3 to 4 times to come here and really get the place felt out where you can drive this thing. He has adapted extremely well, and yet he has a great race car, so he's had a lot of help in the pits as well.
Eric Corbett starting to close in on Hal Goodson for second spot tonight at Salem. I wouldn't necessarily say that Goodson's going to be able to hang on to second a whole lot longer here.
Well, Eric Corbett has a great race car. I don't think, you know, I don't know. These guys are just making laps. They want to get down to that last 20 and then see what everybody has.
Beautiful night for racing here at Salem Speedway, a track that's been in existence, I would say 70 years. I think that's correct, about 70 years of racing here, and all the greats have turned a wheel at Salem over the years. The Hooters Pro Cup stars love coming here. Danny Simmons in the 97, John Gaunt in the 25, battling with Glenn Galt in the 32 car. Galt had been up in the top 5 earlier. Now the fight is for 8th spot. Simmons was the quick qualifier here. Get it back down to Steven.
Well, if Danny Simmons can get a little luck tonight, it'll be the only luck they've had all week. Danny has a younger brother named Davey. Now, Davey is a race car driver, too. In fact, he's won 2 micro sprint races so far this year, but he was playing high school basketball with some of his friends just last week. He fell and broke his leg. Well, the trouble is, Davey is not just a basketball player. He's not just a race car driver. He's the front right tire changer for Heart Attack Motorsports. Danny Simmons is without his front right man. So they moved everybody around and rotated and finally came up with one empty spot. And team consultant Bill Motor stepped forward and said, guys, I'll be the right side tire carrier for tonight. So that's what they did.
Well, he certainly got plenty of experience doing things like that.
Yeah, that's not the first time Bill Boger's been in that position, and probably won't be the last for him.
Simmons trying hard to get back up into contention here. Goodson, meantime, under pressure from Corbett for second. They're hanging with Curtis Davis, so Davis, we thought, might drive off into the sunset, but Goodson able to stick right with him at the moment.
And Rick, this isn't, you have to be very careful. We've talked about this before at these high bank racetracks. You have so much spring under the car, you have so much shock under the car that if you try to slow down like a 1/10 of a second, like you would at a normal short track, just to get your rhythm, if you slow down a 1/10, you'll slow down a 1/2 second. You have to drive the cars hard.
Curtis Davis certainly driving hard tonight, as is Jeff Agnew in the NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet. We'll be back with more at Salem.
Hi, this is Lynn Austin, the original Hooters girl. Keep me turned on for Hooters Pro Cup Racing.
Closing in on 50 to go tonight at Salem Speedway. Hooters Pro Cup North Tour, the Naturally Fresh Foods 250. Danny Sammons of the 97 sitting in 8th spot, but he's got his hands full. John Gaunt, who's had problems tonight, managing to come back and run strongly. Charlie Ford right up behind Glenn Gaunt. You've got a gaggle of guys who've had a difficult evening, but they're back up to speed.
And Glenn Gaunt had a very good race car when we were over at Winchester, and here he is in the thick of this as well. But the leaders are checked out from this group.
Curtis Davis leading the top couple of cars past Joe Harrison Jr.'s 57. Oh, contact! Al Goodson gets roughed up a little bit there by Eric Corbett as they come off turn 2.
Yeah, he had to lift just a little bit going around the lap car of Joe Harrison Jr. there, and Eric Corbett just had a great run and got into it.
But as we've seen so many times at Salem over the years and again here tonight, getting up to another car is one thing. Getting by him is something completely different. Corbett and Goodson going at it for second. Goodson has the position. Corbett trying to find a way by him. Used the chrome horn on the 50 car. Now he'll try to go underneath him off of 4.
Boy, it's really tough to turn down off turn 4 to make it stick and go. I think he's very good off turn 2, as you see here, but you've got to make the pass before you get into turn 3.
But Goodson's loose in the corner there off of the second turn at least.
Well, he just got himself up a little bit high, couldn't get the angle back down, but you know, if you're going to pass the 50 car, you're going to have to do it coming off turn 2.
Eric Corbett from Hagerstown, Maryland, running third. Your leader, Curtis Davis. Quality break Ford, that's the 68 car. Curtis from Siler City, North Carolina, gunning for his first victory in the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Woodson trying to make it 2 straight from second spot. They are catching Jay Fogelman to put him a lap down. Your Sunoco Race Fuels full field rundown at lap 200. Gerald Davis in 6th. Joel Kaufman has soldiered on to 7th. Sammons, Charlie Ford a lap down in 11th. Jay Fogelman is 3 laps down.
And they just haven't been able to find the handle on that car all day long at this racetrack. He's not really comfortable with it, but that's okay. Hey, you're a winner this year.
Yeah.
So just relax, get into the points, just stay with it, and we're going to another racetrack here in 2 weeks.
For second spot, Eric Corbett in the 75, all over Al Goodson. And that battle allows Curtis Davis to gain a couple of car lengths in the 68.
This guy's out front just reading a phone book, just kind of cruising along. And Brian Ross, who had a great race car, just not really the front charging car like we would always expected here at Salem.
The 88 of Gerald Davis right with him. They are 5th and 6th. You missed the story earlier. Ross and the Darren Olden team, that's a borrowed car. They wrecked their primary car at Winchester 2 weeks ago so badly the car had to go to Billy Hess's shop in North Carolina for repairs. They don't have it back yet. This is a car that was run 8 or 10 years ago that they've reskinned, put a motor in, and come here and been competitive with, even though it's got a weight penalty attached to it. The 88 of Davis right with him. Down the front straightaway here at Salem.
And the handle's kind of gone away on the 42 car. You see Brian Ross working the steering wheel pretty darn hard, which is not typical of Brian Ross. He's usually in his own zone here at this place.
Picking up help from Speedco Loop Centers in the 42 car this weekend, the Pointer Drywall team. And Davis goes by to take over 5th. So Gerald Davis with a very impressive run out of West Virginia in that Ford the 88. Best career finish for Davis so far. 8th in his relatively brief Hooters Pro Cup career. Curtis Davis in the 68, no relation. Setting sail, thinking as the laps start to count down, less than 50 to go. I'm sure he's starting to think, hey, this is my night.
Well, I wouldn't want to think that just yet, because Salem has a way of just reaching up and biting you at the worst time. Just relax, just enjoy the ride while you're doing it, but don't think about that last lap just yet.
Moving in behind Glenn Gauld, who'd been a top 3 car earlier. This allows Goodson and Corbett to catch him. Davis having a little trouble here with lap traffic going by Kyle Shoemaker.
Well, that's a lap car going around a lap car, and that just kills all your momentum, and he better be careful. You've got to choose the right line here. They're all over top of him.
Corbett with an opportunity at the bottom. There's debris on the racetrack at turn 1, and we may get a caution. Corbett takes second away from Goodson, but the yellow flies on lap 209, our 8th caution of the night, and the pass by Corbett will not stand. He'll have to drop back into 3rd as the yellow waves. So these drivers will have 40 laps to think about things as we get ready for the final sprint, perhaps, to the checkered flag tonight at Salem. Safety crew will come out and clean up the mess, and we'll be back for the restart. Welcome back to Salem Speedway, the legendary Salem Speedway at Salem, Indiana, just north of Louisville, Kentucky. Hooters Pro Cup action tonight. Let's hear from Pete Warmcastle, who had a good run going tonight.
So how does it feel to be where you finally wanted to be? I know you didn't finish the race, and I know the result is a disappointment, but you got to run there.
I'm real happy with the run. We just need to work on the car a little bit more, you know, and get out of people's way, and then they won't hit you as much.
He kind of feels as though he had a bullseye painted on the back of the Whitwer Racing Ford tonight. Still working on the front end of that machine. Team evidently has not given up completely on being around at the finish. The debris is removed. Stevens moved down pit road to Brian Ross's stall.
I'm getting ready to get on TV. I don't want to say anything yet.
That's okay. We won't take up too much of your time. Darren, tell me, you know, things aren't looking too bad for a 8-year-old slug with an extra 50 pounds hanging off her.
Boy, you can tell it's an 8-year-old slug. That 88 car was working on him pretty hard, and I finally said, Brian, come on. Let's get out of here in one piece. That's the only car we got left. I tell you, he's done a good job, really. You know, my guys back at the shop, Robert Hamke helped us find this car, and it's really not a bad car. It's obviously not our primary car, but, you know, we're pretty happy to be here, and if we can just get out here in one piece, maybe top 5, 6, something like that, we'll take it and get on home. That's Speedco Ford. We got a new sponsor tonight, Speedco Truck Lubes. We really want to thank them for coming on board, and we hope maybe we can make a long-term relationship with them.
Well, I like your optimism, but look, if it wasn't Brian Ross, that thing would probably be about 17th or 18th right now.
36 to go at Salem. Curtis Davis leads him under the green flag. We're back underway, your Naturally Fresh Foods field summary at lap 214. Al Goodson hanging on in second, but Eric Corbett giving him all he wants. There's Ross in the 42. Joel Kaufman quietly has put together a good night. He's been in trouble a couple of times, hanging on his 7th spot.
Well, with all the things that he's gone through, that young man, if he can come out here with a top 10 finish, I think that's a fantastic job as well. You know, we talk about him being in 4th, 5th, being a rookie, but when you go through as many adversities that he has tonight and still come out with a top 10 finish, that's a sign of a rookie going forward.
Great progress indeed. It's helped Kaufman certainly that he's run some races this year at tracks he's very familiar with. Corbett in the 75 running third. Now Jeff Agnew's starting to pick it up in the 73. He's putting pressure on Corbett.
Isn't it fun to watch these Hooters Pro Cup cars? When we go to caution, one guy will be bad, the other guy's good. The tires cool off, we come back, it's the other way. And you never know what you're going to get every time you go back to green.
Like sitting down at the blackjack table. The cards get reshuffled and redealt every once in a while, and that's what makes it so interesting. Corbett now pulling away from Agnew, who settles back into 4th. The former Hooters Pro Cup national champion a couple of years back. Al Goodson in that blue 50. Winner at Winchester 2 weeks ago. Sitting a very comfortable 2nd right now. He was getting full pressure from Corbett just a short time ago, but now Goodson has settled down again. He's pulled away from Corbett comfortably at 2nd. And Goodson's a guy who certainly has made himself a contender for the season championship. Davis, though, trying to score his first career Hooters Pro Cup win in that 68 car. And you know, as the laps wind down, we're getting close to 25 to go. Curtis Davis is starting to count that money.
Well, if this is like a blackjack table, that 68 car is the dealer, because this guy is checking out on him. And if they're not careful, he's going to get out so far they will not have time to run him down. They'll need a lot of help by lap traffic or something to close the gap back up.
Well, to carry the analogy one step further, a lot of guys tonight have said hit me, and it's happened a lot around this racetrack. We're going to grab a quick timeout. We'll be back for the run to the checkers when we continue at Salem. Less than 20 to go at Salem with the Naturally Fresh Foods 250. Your leader, Curtis Davis, in the 68, trying to put a lap on Glenn Gauld, who's desperately trying to stay in front of the 68. This lets Hal Goodson come up and challenge, and there's contact between the leader and Gauld.
Man, you got to make an opening. You run him down, you got to make an opening, because if you don't, Hal Goodson's going to take advantage.
Curtis Davis has yet to win one of these things. That's his crew looking mighty nervous. The mirrors of the 68 car full of that Dodge that Goodson's driving, and he's driving hard. And Eric Corbett's back there in 3rd. He's right in the game as well.
And Glenn Gauld's still on the lead lap. He wants to stay on the lead lap. I understand that, but man, the leaders are right on top of him.
Radar Parker of the Davis crew going over to talk to Glenn Gault's team and saying, hey, give our guys some room. Gault's team says, hey, we want to stay on the lead lap. They come up by Kyle Shoemaker. Gault stays in front of the leader.
And we've talked about this before. You can be a half-second faster, and when you run him down, there's no place to go. You can't keep your momentum up. You just can't drive by. But, man, he's got to find a way around it.
USAR officials getting into the mix as well to make sure nothing untoward takes place down on pit road. Time Glenn Gauld able to stay in front of the race leader, Curtis Davis, in the white 68 car. This has allowed Corbett and Agnew to catch the leader as well. And Corbett leans on Goodson. Bumps him in the back
and Agnew comes in. Woo!
Agnew grabs third.
Now this is racing. When I get down to the last 10, they're going to be beating and banging. There, he got around it.
Davis gets by Gauld. Here comes Goodson to the inside. Jeff Agnew up to third now. Good late race drive for the 73 team. Corbett shuffled to fourth. Agnew loose on the backstretch. Gauld goes a lap down. Take another look at what happened. Coming off of turn 2, this is contact between Corbett, who bounces off the wall. Agnew sees it, takes advantage.
And they got up just a little bit high. Ooh, the 50 car got a little loose. The 75 goes to the wall, and 73 goes by.
So Curtis Davis with 9 to go. Goodson second, Agnew third, Corbett. Gerald Davis fifth, Ross is sixth, Kaufman seventh.
Well, Curtis Davis has opened up some ground now between him and Hal Goodson. I don't think they can close that gap unless something really strange happens, because he just has too good a race car.
This is for fourth spot. Corbett trying to hang on. Gerald Davis, they left by the 25 with John Gaunt. Corbett with some damage now on the front end of the 75. He slipped up into the wall as he was trying to shoulder his way by Goodson for second. It ended up costing him third spot. 6 car lengths the gap between the 68 of Davis and the 50 of Hal Goodson, going for 2 in a row. Davis trying for his first ever series win.
He's closed it down to about 4 or 5 car lengths here. I don't know. Maybe he still has enough to make the run at him.
He's able to go lower going down into turn 1, so he gains some ground there. But catching Davis and getting by him are going to be 2 different things.
How about this 88 car? This is very impressive. This guy come from back in the field, has driven all night long, and this is not an easy racetrack to drive.
Wow. They get the 5 to go sign, hauling down into turn 1. Davis now with just a 2.5 car length lead over Hal Goodson. Lap traffic certainly a factor. Davis up against the wall. Goodson a little lower on the racetrack, able to maintain his momentum and still turn inside. Look at the brakes glow on that 50.
And the thing for him to do is don't even bother looking at the mirror. Knock the thing off the windshield. Look straight ahead. Hit all your marks. Don't make one mistake, because if you do, the leader is all over top of you.
Curtis Davis continues to lead. Left by Jimmy Burns. Back there in third, the orange and white NGA Hooters Golf Tour machine of Jeff Agnew. Coming up on Charlie Ford again.
They got a couple of lap cars they're going to have to contend with here in the last couple of laps. I hope they know that they're coming.
Charlie Ford will be the first car they will reach. Davis leads. Goodson just a car length back. Kyle Shoemaker there too. They're 2 lap cars, 2 to go. They get by Shoemaker, no problem. Charlie Ford will be looking for a place to go to get out of the way of the leaders. That's the 14 you see right in front of Davis. White flag this time by. Charlie Ford adds speed. Danny Salmon's up there as well. This could be interesting. Final time around the half-mile high banks of Salem. Davis tries to go higher on board. He slips. Goodson to the bottom, takes the lead.
Oh, no.
Hal Goodson takes advantage. Davis leans on Goodson. Charlie Ford to the bottom to let the leaders by. I think Davis just backed off for a moment. This will cost him the win. Hal Goodson steals the victory here at Salem. A last lap pass against Curtis Davis in the 68 car.
Oh, how can you come so close and yet miss? I don't know. He went into the corner. His car got just a little bit loose and went up, and when it did, Hal Goodson was all over him.
Watch Charlie Ford in the yellow and black 14. He's a lapped car. Davis leading into turn 1.
And he just gets loose right about there. I don't know if he was anticipating where Charlie was going to go or what happened. Maybe he just got there a little hot and had to pick the brake pedal up, but man.
You could see that Goodson could go inside, could go to the bottom. Davis couldn't. 1 year ago, a similar situation on the final lap. Jason McClellan was trying to finish second here at Salem. He got up into the wall hard, and it cost him a top 3 finish. So last lap fireworks, nothing new at Salem Speedway. Hal Goodson drops the window net, waves to the fans. He hit the lottery tonight, an unexpected last lap victory. We'll talk to Goodson when we come back.
USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing has been brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Naturally fresh salad dressing. Look for it in your supermarket's produce section. Miller Lite. Miller Lite is the official sponsor of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Lucas Oil Products. Lucas Oil Products is a leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants.
Back at Salem Speedway on speed, Hal Goodson wins his second consecutive Hooters Pro Cup North Tour event. A last lap pass against Curtis Davis, who was caught just a little bit behind the lap car of Charlie Ford. Stephen Cox is with our winner.
Well, congratulations, Hal. Yeah. How about that? I mean, more appropriate words couldn't be spoken. Hal, talk to me about not just for the pass for the lead, but the entire last lap. Take me from the beginning.
I know Curtis, he had a good race car. I mean, he was at least as good as we were, and it's hard to pass. You run right up against the wall, and you can't go on the bottom down here, and you can't go on top up there. I kind of pinned 75 in a couple laps forward, coming off 2 there, and on a Curtis Bible, man, and you know, I've been racing a long time, and it ain't ever till it's over. And, you know, I knew Curtis wanted to win it, and you know, with a new car owner, and had trouble starting in the back, man, but you know, it's just our night. You know, when it goes your way, I mean, we blew up 2 motors in a row there. 4 races ago, and they come back win 2 in a row. That's great. The Dodge in Victory Lane. The only thing inside the Ford to win all year. Performance count, Farmville, Virginia, Charlie, all the boys, they do a great job in motors. Jay Hedgecock, all the boys up in High Point, North Carolina, and that crew in Muncie, Indiana, they give me a piece. I mean, I've torn it up. I won a race, tore it up last week, so I just told them I was going to burn the back tires off it this time. But you know, great job, the crew. Being here before, I love this place. It's a lot of fun. You got to drive it all hard all night.
Well, Rick, that is one happy guy.
Stephen, he certainly got a lot to be happy about, stealing victory on the final lap here at Salem. Hal's mom greeting him in victory lane. Big night for Hal Goodson and his race team. Curtis Davis has to settle for second ahead of Agnew. Eric Corbett fading to fourth. Brian Ross hangs on for sixth. And how about Joel Kaufman with seventh?
Yeah, I think Joel Kaufman did a great job considering the fact that both ends of his race cars tore up. Alan Bigelow, Kyle Shoemaker, Joe Harrison, these guys all just hang in there and get those top 15 runs.
And Jay Fogelman 3 laps down, but gets a top 12 out of it. So in the season-long points battle, that's certainly a good outcome for Fogelman at a place he's just not comfortable at all. A surprise, Alan Bigelow gains 9 spots. He's our Hooters Pro Cup hard charger tonight. Let's hear from the runner-up, Stephen Cox with Curtis Davis.
I know he's going to be upset. I know he's going to be unhappy. I know he wanted to win, but this guy just keeps getting closer and closer and closer every single time. There are some positives to take away here, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, we were second quickest in practice, and I got in a little bit too hard in qualifying, and I really didn't get in no harder than what I have been in practice all day, and we kind of got into the wall, so then we had to work on the car and had to start in the rear, and we come from the rear to the front, back to the rear, and then back to the front again, and then gave Hal a real good run for the money there. But I made a rookie mistake, honest rookie mistake, and got in a little bit too hard on the last lap. He got by me, nobody's fault but mine. But I'd like to thank Steve and Myrna Huska for the great opportunity. Without them, this would not be possible. You know, Steve's right here beside me, and he believes in me, him and his wife both, and all us MMP boys that works hard at the shop at Pittsburgh. And I'd like to thank Quality Inspection Centers and Pit Stop Cafe also.
Well, congratulations, Curtis. I told you before the race, before you got in the car, I said, you know, it's just around the corner.
Yeah, you know, we're getting closer and closer. Daggone it, I thought we had it tonight, but experience beat me, and I'll learn from that and take it to the bank, and we'll get them next time. That's all I can say.
What should he have done differently?
No, I think all he had to do was just slow down just a little bit. You see that white flag, you know you're the leader, your adrenaline is way up through the roof. He just got in a little bit too hard, that's all.
Our Miller Lite Rookie of the Race, Gerald Davis in the 88 car, gained 8 spots, came home 5th tonight. Good top 5 run for the driver from West Virginia. So let's check our points situation after 6 races. Eric Corbett maintains the lead, just 12 points ahead of Brian Ross. Another 3 back to Jeff Agnew in 3rd. Curtis Davis has moved to 4th. Fogelman 5th. Hal Goodson now 7th in the standings. Let's talk to our 3rd place driver.
Well, every time I talk to him, he tells me that the new car, the really, really good one, is still in the shop. So this is Old Betsy, and tonight it performed with almost no practice at all. I mean, you guys had a nightmare on your hands from the beginning of the day.
Yeah, we sure did. We brought the primary car out, which that's the one that runs so well at Winchester. And, you know, we thought we'd have a really good shot here with it because, you know, the 2 tracks are real similar. But we lost oil pressure there. We run 5 laps and lost oil pressure. We brought the backup car out, and the guys have worked their hind ends off today. You know, they throwed the car together. We throwed all the springs, shocks, everything under it, and Fritz let us have 3 laps, and this is where we ended up tonight. I can't thank the guys enough. They worked really hard. Just a great team effort tonight.
3rd place tonight, Many of the leaders in the series have dropped off. You finished ahead of Eric Corbett. You're closing in on the points lead.
Yeah, but we're wanting to win a race. You know, the points deal is a great deal, and we want to try to win it too. But gosh, we've been so close. We've had a car to win 2 or 3 races this year, and something's happened to us every time. And you know, it'll turn around for us. Maybe this was a turning point, bringing old Betsy out.
You want to win a race.
Well, absolutely, and Jeff Agnew, they're used to winning races, but you know what? I don't see any sweat run off. That guy had a really good race car.
Next up on television, next Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern here on Speed, coverage of the Bryant Heating and Cooling 250 from Southern National Speedway. At-Track Communications, courtesy of Racing Electronics. Our at-track transportation comes from Best Golf Cars. All the motorsports news you need 24/7 on our website, speedtv.com. For Scott Sutherland and Stephen Cox, I'm Rick Benjamin. Congratulating your winner tonight, Hal Goodson. We'll see you next time here on Speed.